Hi everyone, hope you're doing super well. Welcome to today's altcoin Bible. I filmed the extended version of this for the newsletter subscribers a little earlier in the day, in fact in the morning, and there were some setups here I thought might play out. It looks like a few of them are, but the general vibe was, now that I'm doing this at 2:30 in the afternoon after the daily close, is that Bitcoin is clearly sucking all the juice out of the altcoins, and even a 1-2% move to the downside is really giving those altcoins a bit of an earthquake. So Bitcoin has the strength, it has the dominance still. We're not seeing that follow through from alts yet. There's a lot of capital just circulating around, taking some profits. And again, we're just not seeing a lot of interest in the alts. It's okay. We're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out. The longer this contraction or the compression remains for a lot of these altcoins where they're not having these big moves, the bigger the move at the back end. That's my feeling. But let's get into the three charts that I'm looking at today. Now, in the extended version, I look at Solana as well, but in this one, I'll be looking at SUI, POPCAT, and RNDR. So for my cherry ripe, it was actually a little bit difficult because most of the charts are looking corrective. They're looking like they want to just come back and have a nice little dip, come back to some lower levels, grab some liquidity before the move higher. Remember, dips are for buying in bull markets, so please remember that. Don't get lost and shaken out and lose your head. Right now, the best chart in crypto broadly at a high level versus Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, and generally most other things is still SUI. Now, if we're just looking at SUI, the USD chart, it is consolidating in an upwards rising channel, just like it did over here. It had a bit of a dip after that channel, but these channels do tend to break up as well. But even if it does come down and test the bottom of the channel, which I think is probably likely around about 4.2 down to about 3.6, this type of region in here, you can pull out the Fibonacci retracement, see where everything sits. So the 0.786 is around about that $3.73 level. I think that's probably the extent of it, but who knows? So right now, SUI is looking the best overall, and it is in this sort of mini range up here, kind of like a little range, a channel range within itself. And there's every chance we get this move into this area down here. Alternatively, this could be a bit of the, if it holds that level there, she could be going higher, but I think that downside is a little likely. Now, cherry ripe normally should be going up, but I think that in the broader sense, the macro uptrend is still up. So we might have a correction back down to the 50 on the RSI. Maybe the Stoke RSI needs to call off down here as well. But just broadly, the strength that it has will be challenged down here, but I'm expecting a bounce. So it's still my cherry ripe for the multitude of reasons. It's still holding up against Bitcoin. Doing really well against Solana and holding against ETH. So again, this is kind of what you need to be looking for if you're looking for strength. What can I really be confident and stay in for the longer duration? It's what's holding its strength versus the big players. So still my cherry ripe here, but we'll be waiting for a break of 4.9 for the shoot above $5. We want to be waiting for that ceiling to be breached, and we have a bit of a kind of a retest of resistance support before we blast up. Otherwise, we're coming down to this liquidity zone and just feeling it out through that region. Now, POPCAT, probably a good indicator of Solana liquidity and where Solana sits at the moment. When the ecosystem isn't getting a lot of those inflows and maybe that retail speculation is just starting to contract a little bit, profits are being taken, and it looks like we're heading towards that as we head towards Christmas. So lots of funds, lots of traders, lots of investors just closing up shop and locking in their profits and their trades for the year. So just be aware of that. We covered that extensively in the Mastermind Bi-Weekly yesterday. So yeah, we're just a little bit like, contraction's probably going to happen a little bit here, and probably going to pick up again towards after Christmas Day and New Year's Day, and then into January, and then we're going to have to see what happens with the Trump inauguration. But as a risk reward chart here, this is why POPCAT's my one to watch. And like with Solana, everyone's talking about how doomerish and the charts look really, really bad. It's probably a good time to pay attention. You never want to be sort of selling a crypto out of boredom. Then it wants to be really structured levels where you're thinking, all right, well, close beneath this level. This is where I need to manage risk, or at least think about it. Now with POPCAT here, it's had a 50% retracement from the high, 53% retracement from the high, and it's coming straight into this crucial horizontal support level. So for mine, if you're looking at this here, tap up here, tap there, breakout, did its little thing here. It's coming back to retest that huge level. Now, granted, there's not a lot of volume right here, but I'd say there's a lot of volume beneath it. So if it wants to come down, it's probably coming to the 200-day moving average, and that's around about 90 cents. And that will probably be the extent of it. If you can get any value within this region here, it's very, very clear to me. If you can get anything in this pocket, it's likely going to do this sort of bowl shape and out, like most of these cryptos I'm expecting to do. But right here is a great area to just look at the chart and go, all right, this is a great risk reward region. 53% down in a consolidation. It's not just, one down and, all the way up like a V-shaped reversal. This is a grinding correction, which has been losing strength all the way. Now it kind of wants to puke out and find that liquidity before it reverses. So definitely my one to watch here. The RSI could come down to the really bottom out. It hasn't done previously, so that's just something to note. It's at levels where it normally bottoms out, in recent memory, but this could be a bit of a washout to the downside. Just pay attention to that. Stochastic RSI looks, really good too in that lower level. If we go on over to my danger zone today, it would have been better if I'd released it a little bit earlier, but yeah, for mine, the render chart, I think render's got a huge future, and a lot of these AI coins do, but they're not showing up. Against Bitcoin especially, they all look really bad in terms of just losing strength and wanting to go down to lower levels. This is the USD chart. Don't like this at all. When I looked at it, I'm like, ooh, that looks terrible. So you've got essentially the main levels that you can see here. You've got those taps. Oh, I don't know why that moved down, but let me just pull it back up again. Something not wanting to work there. It's okay. No, it doesn't want to move. That's all right. But you got sort of the drift there. So in fact, what I'll do is I'll just put it through there. So that's kind of the breakdown point. So it got rejected there. It had almost the expansion there. Tried to close above it a few times, but it was kind of like a deviation. It got rejected. And this here, I just don't like the look of this sort of upwards channel, which we showed you on some other cryptos, but it tried to break to the upside, faked a lot of longs out, and then just rep to the downside, back up, resistance. So instead of turning that support, it's still resistance, and now it's breaking down. And as you sort of scroll in, you can also see it's a bit of a head and shoulders pattern, left shoulder, large head, and then the right shoulder. So breaking down, I think it wants to come back into this region here. You've got the 200, you've got horizontal support, you've got this kind of situation over here as well. And I just think this kind of area for render around that $7.20, $7.50 is going to be where you're going to get some value. And this already looks like it wants to puke down to at least this moving average is $7.50. So that's where I'm seeing things. Also the RSI breaking beneath the 50 level. I think that's coming down to that lower region. So that's my danger zone for this week. Lots of charts could be put on the danger zone list, but I just wanted to show you one maybe from that niche of crypto, which is AI. So have a great day, everyone. We'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.